Hey everyone! Welcome back to the Uno Amalgam series, the series where I attempt to squish every Uno version together. As I said in the last episode, the remaining Uno versions I need to cover don't have much in common anymore, so this episode is going to be pretty random. It only took 729 Uno versions for this to occur. How crazy is that? The lack of episode themes is a good thing for progress because now I can be as efficient as possible with both my additions and eliminations. Obviously, I gotta do some clarifying first though. It's clarification time. Will Chemicards be on Kickstarter once it's finished? Honestly, it seems like it. I really don't have any more details though because the project itself isn't finished yet. After a lot of research, it seems like crowdfunding is the only way to make this game a physical reality. I'll cover this in much more detail once the project is finished. Will I be making other Amalgam-type projects after Chemicards? If that's what you all would want to see, I'd be willing. I'm not even thinking about what comes next until Chemicards is done, though. I've been asked a few times now what I would do if some crazy game-changing Uno version releases after Chemicards is complete, and how I would add it to the Amalgam. Something similar to Uno Flip or Flex that drastically changes the gameplay. For one, base Chemicards needs to be successful, like being fully crowdfunded, before expansions are even considered. For two, it would really depend on the mechanic at play. I won't know how to deal with these new mechanics if I don't know what they even are. But it's likely I'd have to get a little more creative if it was something really substantial. Will there be some gameplay videos of the game before release? Most likely. I don't know what format they'd be in yet, but it's at least something that I want to do. Will I add Monopoly Cheaters Edition to the Amalgam?
No.
One really important thing I've been putting off is correcting some of my own mistakes. I'm not a perfect creature, and thankfully all of you are there to let me know when I've made a mistake. Here's a couple Uno versions that have been removed from the elimination list and added to the edition list. These are all getting added to Chemicards. Mistake 1. Uno Pocket All Wild Burger King. This one has the Wild Targeted Draw 1. Wild Card Slap. Mistake 2. Uno Flip Express. This one has a variant of the Wild Draw Color card that caps the amount of cards you're forced to draw at 5. Wild Card Slap. Mistake 3. Uno Limited 2 It's a Girl's World. This one has the Wild Around the World card. When you play this card, all players must pass their entire hand to the player on their left, right, or the player straight across the table from themselves. You get to choose which direction the cards are passed. If you have an odd number of players and you choose for players to swap hands with the player across from them, you're the odd one out, and you don't swap hands while all of the others do. Wild Card Slap. Mistake 4. Uno Phineas and Ferb. This one has the Wild Agent P card. This card functions like a normal wild card, but if another player plays a draw card against you and you play this card in response, that effect is reflected, and that player must draw that many cards instead. If you're reflecting a draw stack, the most recent player who contributed to the stack must draw the cards. Cards drawn from this effect must be drawn from the discard piles, not the draw pile. Wild Card Slap. Mistake 5. Uno Chicago White Sox World Series 2005. This one has the Wild Sweep card. When you play this card, choose a color and discard all cards of that color from your hand in any order without triggering effects. Then, place the sweep card on top of that stack. Wild Card Slap. Mistake 6. Uno New York. This one has the Wild Skip Everyone card. It's identical to the colored Skip Everyone cards from Uno Flip, but now it's on a wild card. Wild Card Slap. Mistake 7. Uno The Dark Knight. This one has the Wild The Joker's Wild card. When you play this card, choose a color. That player must draw cards until they get a card of the color you chose. Once they do, they must play that card on top of this card without triggering effects. Wild Card Slap. Congratulations if your favorite Uno version managed to weasel its way back into the Amalgam. Clarification time over. Now it's elimination time. Like I said, this episode is all about efficiency, and the eliminations this episode are mostly able to exist because of the versions I'm adding in this episode. Here are this episode's eliminations. Uno Outdoor North American Wildlife. Uno Outdoor North American Fishing. Uno Chicago Bears 2009. Uno Green Bay Packers 2009, Uno New England Patriots 2009, Uno New York Giants 2009, Uno New York Jets 2009, Uno Philadelphia Eagles 2009, Uno The Wizard of Oz, Uno 50 Years of Being Wild Nike Zoom Freak 3, Uno NHL Calgary Flames, Uno NHL Edmonton Oilers, Uno NHL Montreal Canadiens, Uno NHL Ottawa Senators, Uno NHL Stars of Finland, Uno NHL Stars of Sweden, Uno NHL Toronto Maple Leafs, Uno NHL Vancouver Canucks, Uno University of Georgia Bulldogs, Uno Horses, Uno Mini 2015, Uno Doraemon 1997, Uno Holden, Uno Canvas The Beatles, Uno Barbie White 2018, Uno 35th Anniversary, Uno Seattle Mariners Ichiro Suzuki, Uno Card Game Sample Pack 1998, Uno NBA Cleveland Cavaliers LeBron James 26 Card Sample Pack, Uno Disney Characters Japan, Uno Deluxe Disney Characters Japan, and finally Uno Disney Princess Ariel 2022. There we go, over double the eliminations compared to last episode. It pays to be efficient. Now, as I promised in the last episode, the randomness begins with the additions of this episode. Addition 261, Uno 50 Years of Being Wild. At face value, this one doesn't have anything special. Oh, wait, I actually meant at face value, this one does have something special. Literally, it's on the box art. This set comes with both metallic gold wild cards and wild draw 4 cards. Within the context of their own game, these cards behave the same as their original counterparts, but in Chemicards, the story is very different. These cards are both getting added, and since they're the only 2 gold cards in the game, they can only match their color with each other. Thankfully, you can still match these cards using their symbols, and you can still discard them using other means. So if you've been keeping track, we now have blue, green, yellow, red, black, orange, purple, pink, gray, brown, white, rainbow, and now gold cards in Chemicards. This is the exact brand of wackiness I was hoping for with this project. Both the gold wild draw 4 and the gold wild are getting wild card slaps. Addition 262, Uno Nike Zoom Freak 3. Not the shoes, the card game. This one has the wild Force Turnover card. When you play this card, choose a color. If the next player in the turn order doesn't have a card of that color in their hand, you get to take an extra turn. Combo Masters rejoice, this card is for you. Wild card slap. Addition 263, Uno Star Trek Special Edition 1999. This one came with a lot of special cards, surprisingly. Mattel definitely has their favorites. I'm definitely not adding all of them though, just a couple. The first is the wild Mind Meld card. When you play this card, the next player must privately show you their hand. That's it. Kinda lame. Wild card slap. The second is the wild Double Tribble card. This one is a lot more interesting. When you play this card, the next player must double the amount of cards in their hand by drawing cards. Now that sounds like a card worthy of the Amalgam. Wild card slap. Addition 264, Uno Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2013. Very fittingly, this one has the wild Pizza card. When you play this card, the next player must draw cards until they get a 3, 5, 7, or 9 number card, and then their turn gets skipped. Aren't draw until mechanics so funny, so silly, so enjoyable? Wild card slap. Addition 265, Uno Pittsburgh Steelers 2009. This one was part of the series I eliminated earlier. They all have the same new card, the wild touchdown card. When you play this card, choose a player. They must draw cards until they draw a 6 number card or until they draw 6 total cards from this effect, whichever comes first. If they draw a 6 number card, they must place it on top of this card without triggering effects. Wow, that one feels great to add just because it eliminated so many others. Wild card slap. Addition 266, Uno Boston Red Sox 2007 World Series Champions. The unique card effect of this version has already been added, but this one also contains the Amalgam's 9th game mode. In this mode, you keep track of points by counting how much your cards in your own hand are worth at the end of each round. When any player reaches 500 points, the game ends and the player with the least points wins. I like this one because it encourages getting rid of your own cards more than others. What a random Uno version to give us a new game mode though. Edition 267, Uno Ambassador Masahi Oguro. This one has 2 unique wilds, a trend that is much more common than I thought, and these 2 are hilarious. The first is the wild PK card. When you play this card, everyone, including you, draws 4. Wild card slap. The second is the wild own goal card. When you play this card, draw 4 cards. These mechanics are so unhinged, what the heck? Wild card slap. Edition 268, Uno V-Friends. Oh, this is like an NFT thing, isn't it? Ew. Even though the original theme of this version is not the best, it still brings with it some interesting cards. For example, wild number cards. There's now a wild 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 number card. That's a pretty fun addition, honestly. On top of that, there's a unique wild of this version, the wild Sharing Squirrel card. When you play this card, the next player must take a selfie of themselves and all of the cards in their hand and post it to a social media platform of their choice. Originally, you had to add a hashtag advertising VFriends, but I'm not adding that aspect of this mechanic. Also, this is the first card to incorporate smartphones or a similar technology into a mechanic, and because Uno V-Friends operates under the assumption you're capable of making social media posts without including any technology in the box, I'll be doing the same. This is very different than changing a mechanic to incorporate such things. Timer mechanics. Yada yada. Wild card slap. Edition 269, Uno NFL 2023. This one has the wild Ice the Kicker card. When this card is played against you, you must successfully kick a field goal or draw 3 cards. This mechanic requires you to make a paper football and use it to play a standard round of the game, Paper Football. This is very similar to the mechanic I implemented for Uno Flip 2009, but this one doesn't use extra cards, and instead uses a real paper football. What a coincidence, and what an accidental instance of staying consistent. Wild card slap. Edition 270, Uno Boston Celtics 2005. This one has the wild Steal card. When you play this card, take another card from your hand and place it next to the draw pile face down. The first player to grab that card draws 1 card. All other players draw 2 cards. What a wacky little minigame. Wild card slap. Edition 271, Uno Ford. More like Uno I can't afford it, am I right? LOL XD. This one has the wild Handbrake U-Turn card. When you play this card, reverse the turn order and then give the next player 2 cards from your own hand. Wild card slap. Edition 272, Uno Despicable Me 4. It's kinda crazy how this movie that hasn't even been released yet has an Uno version dedicated to it. What if the movie turns out to be terrible and nobody buys the Uno version because of it? What then, Mattel? This one has the wild Mega Minions Power card. When you play this card, all players, including you, look for any non-wild action cards in their hands. In the turn order, they must then discard all of these cards in any order by placing them at the bottom of this discard pile. Then they must draw cards corresponding to the number of cards they just discarded. Wild card slap. Edition 273, Uno John Deere. I love that Uno versions like these exist. Like, yeah, I love John Deere so much I need to see that brand and imagery in my card game. This one has the wild Harvest card. When you play this card, choose another player. They must draw cards until they get a green card or until they draw 5 total cards from this effect, whichever comes first. If the player successfully draws a green card, they play that card on top of the Harvest card without triggering effects. Wild card slap. Edition 274, Uno Barbie Black 2018. This one has the wild Fashion Swap card. When you play this card, Choose 2 players and choose a color. Those 2 players must swap all cards of that color from their hands. I get it. It's like a swap. It's like a fashion swap. You're swapping the cards. It's a fashion swap. Wild Card Slap. Edition 275. Uno FAO Schwarz. This one has the Wild Special Delivery card. When you play this card, place it on the table and spin it. Once the card has stopped spinning, determine which 2 players are closest to being pointed at by the top and bottom edge of the card. These 2 players must draw 3. You are not immune to this effect. This one originally relied on the clock hands on the card art to choose players, but since I'm rebranding, I had to change it up a little bit. Still the same effect though. Wild Card Slap. Edition 276. Vacation Uno. This is one of the few Uno versions that included a non-game item, that being this inflatable disc thing. It's a funny inclusion, but that definitely is not making it into the Amalgam. Thankfully, there's a unique symbol that's getting placed on each color once. The Check 2 symbol. When you play this card, you can do one of 2 things. You can either play another card of the same color immediately, or play a card with the wild symbol. Effects do indeed trigger. This card cannot be played on its own and therefore cannot be played as the last card in your hand. That's fairly unique, and non-wild symbols are always welcome. Edition 277. Uno Happy Birthday. Hey, speaking of non-wild cards, this one has an exciting contribution to them. These are customizable non-wild cards. There will be 10 card faces of these, one on each color. These function the same as customizable wild cards, except they aren't wild, and in the Amalgam's case, they aren't tied to any other mechanics, meaning they can show up in the deck at any time like most other cards. Customization is always good, but once again, I'm not responsible for your custom decisions, so if you break the game, that's on you. Edition 278. Uno Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. Once again, nothing surprises me anymore. This one has the Wild Wishbone card. It's another warlike mechanic. When you play this card, choose a player. Both you and that player must simultaneously reveal a number card from your hand. The player with the higher number wins. Non-number cards count as 0. The loser of this effect must draw cards equal to the difference between the 2 number cards used in the battle. Oh my. Does that mean you could draw a maximum of 100 cards from this effect? Wow, that's awesome. It's always the obscure ones that have the best mechanics. Wild Card Slap. Edition 279, Uno 30-year Anniversary. This is the Wild Anniversary card, or as I like to call it, the Instant Uno card. When you play this card, give your entire hand, except for 1 card, to another player of your choice. As you do this, say, Happy Anniversary, and then call Uno. Easily one of the most powerful cards in the game, if not the most powerful. Incredible. Wild Card Slap. Edition 280. Uno Flip Attack. Mattel just released this one, and I gotta say, I like it. Who would have thought combining multiple popular Uno versions into one would be a good idea? As you may have pieced together, this is a combination of Uno Attack and Uno Flip. The result is essentially Uno Flip with the attack machine, which makes for a neat bug, but it can be handled similarly to Uno Attack. In fact, a lot of mechanics here have already been covered by both Attack and Flip, except for a few. These mechanics are going to be implemented using the same dice system I used when I added Uno Attack and its variants, with various dice replacing the attack machine. Needless to say, it's not a perfect translation, but it's one that I'm happy with, and I think it fits really well with Chemicards' gameplay. The first new card is the Wild Press Your Luck card. When you play this card, you can choose to discard a card without triggering effects, and roll the d4. Whichever number you roll is how many times you need to increase the number on the attack d10. You can keep doing this as much as you want, but if the attack d10 reaches 10, you must resolve the attack d10 normally, and take back all of the cards you discarded using this effect. Once this effect has resolved, the Press Your Luck card goes on top of whichever discard pile you chose to use for this effect. Wild Card Slap. Next is the Hit 5 modifier, which will be getting placed on one 5-number card of each color. When this card is played against you, you must increase the number on the attack d10 5 times. Finally, we have the wild all-out attack card. Is that a Persona reference? Probably not, but I like to pretend it is. When you play this card, the next player in the turn order becomes the target. Starting with the targeted player, all players in the current turn order must roll the d4 and increase the number on the attack d10 corresponding to the number they rolled. If the attack d10 reaches 10, it resolves normally, and all cards from it go directly into the targeted player's hand. The attack d10 can trigger multiple times from this effect. This is definitely a card that gets more powerful the more players you have, and it's a very interesting way to interact with the attack d10. Very fun and quite powerful. And that's another bug squashed. Wild card slap. That does it for the additions this episode. Now on to the progress statistics. In this episode, I eliminated 32 Uno versions and added another 20, bringing the total Uno versions represented in Chemicards to 781. Wow, this is really going to be in the 800s, huh? Approximately 25 physical cards were added this episode, bringing the total card count to 1,068. There's 9 game modes now, and the scary thing is, there will probably be more. Here's a new statistic for you. I have 73 Uno versions left on my list as I'm writing this, and that's including 23 versions that are lost and unreleased media. This means that right now I only have 50 Uno versions left to add to the Amalgam to my knowledge. We are so close. It's really exciting. I mean, realistically, there's only 2 episodes left of the combining phase of this project. It's crazy how far we've crawled since the start, and it's crazy how supportive you all have been. I appreciate you all for watching this series. And now it's thank you time. Special thank you to those of you who choose to donate and join the Amalgamation Donation Club. Thank you to Golden TGB, Elias Stenbach, Fallen Angel Viox, Gluebird, Omicromium, Splashy Flame, Datboy, TM Gaming, It's Lemonade, Ivory Ice, Jamdrop196, Spiral of the Stars, Noah Rones, and Cable. Thank you so much once again. And now it is time to end the video. Subscribe if you can see, smell, hear, or taste the end of Phase 1. Like the video if you in fact liked the video. Go play some Uno with your friends and family. I know you want to. Meet me back here in 2 weeks for more randomness.